Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little pendant. This design is very versatile and you can use any shape stone you like. If you want to use a little stone or a big stone or a square stone, you can use anything you like. These bars at the front hold the stone in whatever shape it is. I did do a square one as well. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make this pendant, along with links to my Facebook and Instagram and my Etsy shop, where I sell the PDF tutorials, that's written tutorials with follow along pictures, if anybody's interested in those. To make this pendant you'll need a 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge, and I've cut 3 lengths at 10 inches, that's 25.5 centimetres, and 1 length at 5 inches, which is 12.5 centimetres. I've got 0.3mm weaving wire, and you'll need about 300 centimetres. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. If you don't have a bobbin, you can just cut lengths as you go. I'll put a link in the description below of where I got my bobbin from. Today I'm using an oval cab for this one. This is 20mm by 15, and you can use a slightly different size if you like. If yours is bigger, then just add a few more inches onto your wires, and you'll need to increase your weave repeats. I'm also using a little 3mm bead. Tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters and nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry, I just use these for flattening the weaves and straightening the wires. Today I'm going to be using bail pliers. If you don't have bail pliers, you can just use your fingers to bend over the bail, or you could use like knitting needle or a crochet hook or paintbrush, something like that, that similar size. So just take your 3 wires and hold your wires together right in the middle there, and where your thumb is in the middle of the wires, we're going to start just to the left of your thumb, and take your weaving wire, and we'll start with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. So we'll go around the bottom 2 wires twice. We'll come up between those bottom 2 wires. We'll go around the top 2 wires twice. And that's our repeat. We'll go around the bottom 2 wires twice, up between the bottom 2 and around the top 2. So we'll just do that once more. So now take your smaller wire, we want to add that. So the point we're at now needs to be the centre of that little wire. So now come up between, if we're now counting 4 wires, come up between the middle 2, and we're going to go over the top 2. So you've come up between the second and third wire. Go around the top 2, so we're including the little wire. We come up between the bottom 2, go around those middle 2 wires. Then we come underneath the bottom wire and go around the bottom 2. So we're doing the same thing, but we're including the top wire as well. So we're going to do that again with the top wire. So we come up between the bottom 2, go around the middle 2 wires, up between the middle 2 wires and around the top 2. Between the bottom 2, around those middle 2 wires again, under the bottom and over the second, so we've gone around the bottom 2 and we do that twice as well. So now, ignoring the top wire, just working on those bottom 3 again, come up between the bottom 2 and we're just going to do what we did at the beginning. 2 wraps around the top 2 wires, 2 wraps around the bottom 2, and we do that another couple of times, so we've got the same on both sides. So we'll do that once more. And then push it all together nice and tight. So we've just done a little weave across the bottom and we've included that little wire just with 2 little attachments on the top there. So we're going to finish with 3 wraps around that bottom wire, so it's the same on both sides. Cut that weaving wire, and cut it at this end as well. I'll pull it tight before I cut it off. Just need to make sure that little wire is central. And I do like to just go over and flatten the weave with my nylon pliers. Now we're going to ignore the top wire now, the little wire. So I'm just going to pull it straight up, so it's out the way while we work on these other wires now. So using your finger, we're just going to put a little bit of a curve in that weave. The curve needs to be the same curve as your stone. So ignoring that top wire, going to wrap that curve around the stone. We need it to sit pretty central as well. So just bringing the 3 wires around the stone. And you want to keep it nice and straight if you can. We're just going to wrap those around the stone there. When those wires reach the top there, I'm going to bend them up so they're pretty straight, so they're all next to each other at the top there. I'll show you better in just a minute. So that's the shape you want. I've just put the little wire hanging down below. So your wires come together at the top and then bend out. So making sure the wires on the sides haven't crossed over each other. Take your weaving wire and we're just going to wrap 3 times around that bottom wire. So I'm working on the one side for now. I've pulled that down so it sits just below the neck there. Going to do the same weave as we did on the bottom. So we go around the bottom 2 wires twice. Up between those bottom 2 wires. And then around the top 2 wires. To repeat that a few more times, twice around the bottom 2, up between those bottom 2, and then around the top 2. And I'll repeat that again. So then I'll go twice around the bottom 2, finish with 3 wraps on that bottom wire. So I need to cut both of those wires now. We're going to turn around and do the same on the other side. And so it matches the other one. We've got to do it upside down, so we've got to start with 3 wraps around the top wire. Slide that down to roughly the same place. Come up between the bottom 2. Wrap twice around the top 2 wires. And then twice around the bottom 2 wires, and we're going to do what we did on the other side, so do that 3 times. And then finish with 2 wraps around the bottom 2 wires like that, and then 3 wraps, top wire, and then 3 wraps around the top wire. So we're going to keep this wire attached this time, but we're going to cut off the tail end from the beginning. So you just need to pop your stone back in to make sure it still fits. Reshape it if it's not quite. So now we've got that. So where your wires come together at the top now, we're going to wrap around the whole thing. We want all those wires to keep sitting next to each other. So I've gone around 5 times, and I'll just pick a back wire and wrap 3 times around that back wire just to secure it all. So I've taken my stone out for a minute. This little wire at the front, what I'm going to do is, right next to where the weave attaches to it, I'm going to bend it down. And make sure it's straight. And the other side as well, where it comes away from that weave. Try and straighten that one as well. And you need that weave at the top there to be pretty central. So I'm just pulling it along a bit, and you need those 2 stitches there to be pretty central stitches, wraps. I don't know why my weave looks longer on the one side than the other. So your little wire now at the front makes a V. What I'm going to do is, if I reposition my stone, I think I'm just going to sharpen that curve at the bottom there, the shaping at the bottom there, because I want it to be a proper stronger V than that. So you pop your stone in from the back. The V at the front is going to hold the stone at the front. And then these wires go over the side, and you need to make sure they go over the same place. Over the top and around to the back. So this one needs to go over at the same place as that one did. A little bit fiddly. Over the top and around to the back. So where the wires come down the back, I'm going to shape them to come around. And this one, if you can hear, that's Gracie snoring in the background. Just been for a walk in the cold, so she's worn out. And then where these two wires come together in the middle there, we're going to wrap those together now. I think I'm going to secure the stone from the back with these side wires. I didn't intend to, but it's getting on my nerves to keep moving about. So pull this back wire over the stone a little bit on both sides. And then grab it with your pliers right at the bottom where the weave is, and just pull a bend into it around that stone there, just so it holds it in place, because it just keep moving about. We'll do the same for the other side too. Cut yourself a little bit of weaving wire, just need a little bit. I'm working on these two wires at the back here, so they both come over like the top there, and then they were going to meet in the middle. So wrap 3 times around one of the wires. Slide it up to just where they meet. And then wrap a few times around the both. Come 3 times, and then 3 times around that single wire again, just to tie it together. I'm going to cut that weaving wire at both ends. Now we're going to attach to these side wires. So curl the wire up. I'm trying to make it as symmetrical as possible. You need another little bit of weaving wire. And we're going to go 3 times around one of the wires. And then we need to wrap around one of these back wires here. So I'm going to make a little gap with my pliers so I can get in. Taking it underneath the wire. And then I'm going to go around the 2 wires. And I'll do that 3 times, and then 3 times around the single wire. So I'm now going to cut off those tail ends and do the same for the other one to that back wire there. So I've attached it on both sides, and I'll cut those off quite short. And I'll curl them with the pliers. Line those pliers. So this one's going to go this way. Whoops. This just holds everything in place. And this one goes the other way. So this one goes this way. It's got 2 little curls on the back. And this adds to the framing a bit for when we make the bail. Just trying to bend it all to sit how I want it to. So if you look at your wires at the top now, you've got your 2 back wires which are in the middle, then you've got 2 outer wires on each side. I'm going to bend those outer wires out the way for now. We're just going to focus on these 2 at the back. So you want to shape them to be a nice V. So it sits nice and central. And we'll go 5 times around the bottom wire. Then we'll go straight over the top wire. We'll go 5 times around that one. And then come over the opposite wire. So that's our repeat. Over the opposite wire and then wrap around 5 times. And try not to pull those 2 middle wires together as you go in. And keep pushing it together as you go. And then go over the other wire and push your wire down to touch the other weaves. Wraps. So keep doing that 5 times over to the opposite wire. So I've repeated that for about 2 centimeters, roughly. So when you get to this point, making sure your wires don't come together because you're going to crimple all this lovely weave. hold the wire one at a time, bend them in, and you're trying to make a diamond shape. You need the top size to be about the same size as the bottom, and where they cross, bend them back out. So you've got this shape, and then we'll carry on with the weave. As you're coming back down this shape, this wire is going to keep trying to slide, so what you got to do is, I'm holding it down, and as soon as you've got it there, you've got to hold it down on this side, but try not to pull your wires together, because you don't want to crimple all those wires. 3, 4, 5. So then you go over to the other side. So I'm holding this side down. I go over the other side, and I want it to sit right next to that weave there, and then I hold that side down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we want to come down again over the other side. And you're going to have to do that. And it's a little bit fiddly, but as long as you can keep holding it together, it'll keep it nice and tidy. I keep going until you reach the neck there. So I've gone all the way to the top there, and I have started to get some little gaps. Right at the top here, I was doing 5 wraps on the sides all the way up, and then when I got to the end I did a 3. Just so it would finish right at the top there. Then I put 3 on this side to finish it off. I'm going to leave a little bit of wire attached, but I'm going to cut that bob in there. So I can use this now. And we're going to weave on the 2 side wires, on both of the side wires. So start with 3 wraps on the bottom wire, push it right the way down to the bottom, and then we'll go over the top wire, up between the 2 wires, over the top wire, under the bottom wire and around the bottom wire. So that's our repeat. Over the top wire, up between the 2, over the top wire, under the bottom wire and around that bottom wire. And we're going to keep repeating that weave. So I've kept repeating that weave, and you need to go until, keep repeating it until your weave is just a little bit longer than that original bail, and keep pushing your weave together as you go. So we're going to finish with 3 wraps on the 1 wire, cut that wire, and then do this weave over these 2 wires, so you do the same amount. And I need to cut that tail end from the beginning too. So I've done the other weave as well, and they're both about the same length, just a little bit longer than the middle bail. So now take your bail pliers, and I'm going to grab the wire. I'm going to grab it right across that middle part there. So I'm just grabbing that bail with the 2 wires. I want these 2 wires to come around to the front there. Like that. And then these weaves, they're just going to follow. So bend those over too. And then at the back, these 2 weaves are going to cross over each other like that. So at the back there, you just need to squeeze that so that the weaves come in nice and tight too. And then these 2 wires are at the front there. That's from the middle bail. So take this weaving wire. We're going to go around the whole thing now. Including those 2 crossed over ones. I think I'm going to go under those 2 front wires, but then around over those 2 crossed ones. And then I'm going to go around just one of those back wires 3 times just to hold it all securely in place. I picked the one at the back, which is really awkward and I can't get to it. But that's me. Look at that wire, that weaving wire. So at the back now with these 2 wires, I'm going to secure these onto these 2 bars that we put there earlier. So I'm going to cut them about there. Make sure we've got a little bit of a gap there at the back between the wires and the stones. I'm going to take those wires and just carefully scoop them around. I'll have one on one side and one on the other to keep it even. I'm not going to tighten it just yet because I don't want to misshape things, so I'm just going to do it for the other side as well. We can do it all at the same time. It's more likely to be even and symmetrical. Push that round and pull one on each side. I wonder if I can hold that as well. I'll tighten these up. fiddly. It's a good idea though if you can manage it. If not, you're just going to have to watch the shape as you work so you don't misshape the top too much. I'm just tightening up those wires now. Cut a little bit off because I want them to finish underneath the wire and not exposing any sharp bits. And you have to be careful that you don't push these two wires together because you will crimple all this nice weave in the middle. So now just to finish these two front wires. So this wire is going to come over, and at the same time this wire is going to go under, like so. And as it does, we're going to put that little bead on it. So take it slow so you can get your bends nice. And I'm just bending them around. Like that. I'm just going to put a little bit of a scoop onto it. And when it reaches the edge there, I'm going to bend it over. And the same with this one. Holding it in place at the front there, otherwise you're going to misshape all your wires. Still holding it in place. Now if your wires are long enough to come out the other side, that's great, because then you can just wrap it over here and that will secure it. My other one hasn't quite reached, so I'm just going to pinch it there and that will secure it there. I'm still going to pinch that wire there, and you've got to be careful when you're pinching your wires because you can mark your wires, especially if you're working with sterling as I am. So I'm going to carefully pinch the wire. And then this side, I'm just going to pull it over a little bit, just to secure that there. Oops. pinch that down a little bit there. And there we have it, finished. Interesting little design for you to work with. And with these bars at the front, now makes it adaptable to do it with other shaped stones. And I've got another one here that I've made that I did with a square. Because you've got your front bars, it holds it all in place. I wove right the way down to the end and wrapped the weave round on that one. So you can do this with any shaped stone at all that you want. If you wanted to do it with a teardrop, you could have your point at the top or the bottom. Just make sure that these bars cover quite a bit of the stone. You don't want them right on the edge, or they'll just keep falling off the sides. So thanks for watching, and if you are on Facebook or Instagram, I'd love to see you finish work. Please mention me, a Kelly Jones Design, and please don't show images of in progress or of the back, or videos of in progress or the back, because I want to keep this design just for YouTube. So if somebody wants to know how it was made, please send them here. And thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Bye. I just want to let you know that I've recently finished a PDF tutorial on this huge frame pendant. A PDF tutorial is a download from my Etsy shop, and it's got loads and loads of pictures and descriptions, so you go through at it. You go through it in your own time, at your own pace, and it's all there. It's fully descriptive, it's written for a beginner. Obviously you'd have to be an advanced beginner to make this. It's not as complicated as it looks. So just to let you know, that is now available in my Etsy shop.